Hey everyone. Uh, Thank you for the raid, Will. Sorry, I'm still just getting things about set up. Can everyone hear me? Awesome, thank you. Today, sorry, I'm a little twitchy, I guess you can say, for lack of a better word, considering I'm on Twitch. Hello, Real Celtic Gamer. Today's gonna be really hard for me, so bear with me. I'm going to preface this with a trigger warning. It might not be the most comfortable thing to hear, the most it'll get a little uncomfortable probably for some people, definitely for me. So there is a trigger warning. I'm also going to preface this and get the elephant out of the room right away, considering if the red ribbon doesn't give it away. I have HIV. In this stream is going to be me telling you my story. I'm going to start out though with yet again more prefacing with why I felt the need to have this conversation today. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Okay.
It was hilarious.
Oh shit. Okay, so bear with me for just a second, everyone. I'm figuring this out as I go. I'm gonna take a shot real quick, and yes, I'm gonna drink it right from the bottle because cheers. Because fuck being classy. I know you're all, I love you all too. I know you're all used to me being thirsty and shirtless and all these other things. I just want you all to know that this is going to be a very different stream. So bear with me. I've never been so nervous in my life. Well, yes, I have, but not on Twitch. I've never been so nervous on Twitch. Okay, so I've got the link I want to show you. I have a video I want you all to watch. And this is gonna preface why I felt the need to have this conversation. So we're gonna start with the video, and then I'll explain for anyone that's not from the US, who it is, what it is, why it is, blah, 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 blah. Alright, so we're going to start with the video. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. So we'll get that started. It's just a 15-second video clip, so.
It was hilarious. Trump getting coronavirus was like when Freddie Mercury got AIDS. Nobody was like, well, how did he get it?
So did everyone hear that? Was the sound okay? Do I have to play it again? Like... Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I saw this clip on... I saw that clip on Twitter today, and I knew I had to speak up. I knew I had to tell my story. For those of you who might not know, that is Dave Chappelle, and it's from Saturday Night Live. So, yet again, 2020, let me move my camera. 2020, I'm fucking tired. I'm fucking tired. You started out with coronavirus. Then you decided that cops needed to kill black people. Like, if that, like, first of all, what? And then this joke of an election that thankfully turned out okay. To this, I don't know how I want my camera, guys, sorry. Sorry, I can't find a good spot for my camera that will show my all of it. To this, was kicking one minority this year, or kicking multiple minorities, because trans people have also been fighting for their lives. Was that not enough? You had to throw in an AIDS joke for good measure? Like, what's going on here? That wasn't funny. There was no joke there. I don't understand why people laughed. The fact that the fact that I understand why Saturday Night Live aired it, because it is a live show, but the fact that they didn't come out afterwards and condemn it is disgusting. Like, we're in 2020. What's so funny about a fucking AIDS joke? Especially coming from a goddamn black man. Which, if you don't know, other than homosexuality, other than the homosexual community, the black community has been hit the hardest by HIV. So I don't understand where the joke is. Especially coming from a black man whose community has also been hit by this fucking disease. Like, where's the joke? Was making a joke at Trump's expense worth that? Like, not only was that, first of all, a super low bar for comedy, a super low bar for comedy. Um, the fact that you had to make it homophobic too? Like, oh, I wonder why the gay man got AIDS. Excuse me? That's something we've been trying to fight against for the last fucking 35 years? Like, we've been trying to fight against this for 35 years. HIV, AIDS, is so much more than a gay disease. Gays aren't the only ones that catch it. Straight people do. Like, come on now. What's going on here? So, after this stream, I'm going to be posting something on Twitter, and I'm probably going to be tagging SNL, and if I can find him, I'm probably going to tag Dave Chappelle. I'm going to have two separate tweet threads. One that's a little more lighthearted and uplifting for people with HIV, and one that's a little more condemning. And if you could all retweet those afterwards when I get them up, that would be much appreciated. Sorry, there's a lot going on up here today, and it's been a long day of figuring out why or how I was going to have this conversation. So, with that being said, I was going to come out soon anyways, but once this video hit the internet, I felt like I had to say something. I may not have a big community, but I need to fight back against it. I need to let it be known that HIV isn't a death sentence. HIV isn't a joke. HIV is still a very serious disease. Yes, it won't kill you anymore. But if you don't have good insurance, which if you live in the United States, you know is a shit show, it can take a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. It takes a heavy emotional toll. All kinds of things. And the fact that, at least in the United States, I don't know how it is around the rest of the world, but they don't educate you on HIV here. You have to look for the resources yourself, which is a major flaw considering... Oh, Lord. Let me... Let's see. As of... Okay, it's not telling me when. But approximately 1.2 million people in the US are living with HIV. Nintendo Mod, turn yourself off, boo. I ain't got time for you right now. Okay. 1.2 million people in the United States are living with HIV today. So the fact that you can make a joke at the expense of 1.2 million people, and that's like probably a relatively low ball number. But the fact that they don't teach about HIV, they don't teach HIV education at all in the United States other than wear a condom is a serious problem. Like, okay, wear a condom. Good, it's a good practice overall. Completely 100% agree. But if you are like in my situation, I will tell you my whole story in a second, but I got drunk, made a mistake. One time. One time. That's all it took. One time. And bam. My whole life felt like it changed. We're going to that a little more in a minute here. But that's a problem. That's a problem. When one mistake can make it feel like, sure, I'm gay, so I felt like I did a lot of education. I did a lot of research before I got HIV. Because I was a gay man, I felt like it was necessary. I felt like it was important. I did a lot of research before I got it. So I knew enough about it, and in this situation, I don't quite know how to transition here, but I'm gonna tell you my story now and leave that hanging for a minute. I hope you're okay with that. Give me just a second. Let me take another shot. All right, before I break into my story, I'd like to thank everyone watching me right now. I've never had a viewer count this high, and for it to be such an important stream and an important conversation, thank you all for being here. So, if any of you are subscribed to me, can I get some Spidey love in the chat real quick for some moral support? Because it just makes me smile, and I kind of need that moment. All right. So here's the part I'm kind of afraid of. In the part that if I start crying, I apologize in advance because the tears are already slightly coming and I haven't even started yet. Let's change this. Now that I'm... Let's talk. Mods, I'm telling you now, I'm changing my stream info to let's talk about HIV. So be ready for maybe trolls. Be ready. Just be ready. Okay. So, sorry, I didn't expect this to quite be so difficult. Um, I got HIV 6 years ago, and it changed my whole life. So what happened was I used to get tested on a regular basis, like every 3 months. I'm a sexually active gay man. So every 3 months I went to the health clinic. I got tested. I was I was always really responsible about it. Um, Extremely responsible about it, because I figured it was important. It was super important that I made sure I knew my status. Um, and me and my friend Stephanie went in, and it's funny, like I remember this so clearly. Um, we were in her car beforehand. We were in her car beforehand. I wish she was here because she could also give some context to this story, but alas, she is not. Um, we were in her car beforehand, driving to the health clinic, and we were making jokes, like not anything serious, but we were making jokes like HIV free is the way to be, stuff like that. Like we don't we don't have it, blah 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 blah. We were just talking ourselves up. We were going to get tested, and neither of us were nervous at all because we're responsible, sexually active people. We go get tested, and I've been tested a million times before this. Um, and it was like it's one of those things that in your head you're like, I can't have it. I can't have HIV. That won't happen to me. Like it just won't. Like almost like you feel like you're immune to it in a way. Um so, we're sitting there making jokes, talking ourselves up like we don't have this HIV, we're HIV free, blah 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 blah. And so we go get tested, and and I remember getting they prick your finger. Motherfucker, hold on. They prick your finger and take a 15-minute test. And you sit in that room for 15 minutes. You do things like you swab your ass to make sure you don't have other things, you swab your dick. You know, you get tested for everything else. And I was more worried about the everything else part, not the HIV part, because I was like, what? This can't be. Like, I can't have HIV. So I was more worried about everything else. And um my God damn it. Um, my nurse came in, or my nurse came in, checked the results, because they just like leave it on the table and just like come back in 15 minutes later. And there, she looks at me and goes, "You tested positive." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You tested positive." And I'm like, that can't be. She's like, "We're gonna call, for those of you who don't know, I'm planning a charity stream, and the charity I'm donating to is the Red Project, and this is why." So the Grand Rapids Red Project is the charity I will be donating to. Um, they're like, "We're gonna call the Red Project." They're like, "You've tested positive for HIV," and literally, my whole mind, like everything, went blank, just blank. And the rest of that day is kind of a blur, so I am going to um, kind of piece it together for you as well as I can, because I literally went catatonic. Um, so they're like, "We're gonna call the Red Project. We're gonna have them talk to you. We're gonna um, have them tell you what's next, and we're going to take a blood sample, like even more of one, and we're going to send it into the lab to make sure it's not a false positive." So I sit there in the room with, and then my nurse leaves. So I sit there in the room by myself and just, I was numb. I was so very, very numb. Um, and then they came and got me, and they were like, "Okay, someone from the Red Project is here to talk to you about where to go next." And so I go in there, and they start talking to me, and I can't take any of it in. It's all so much. I can't take any of it in. So I asked them, I'm like, "My friend Stephanie is in the waiting room. I need her. I need her here. Can you go grab her, because I can't do I God damn it." Hold on. Oh, I expected the tears to start a little later, but we're rolling with it. We're rolling with it. Um, I'm gonna warn you all now, I'm probably gonna chain smoke through this as well. So, bear with me. Um, oh my god. Uh, so I was like, I need her here. Like, she's the only person I had with me. She's the only person I had with me. And, like, I went out to the hall because I don't remember why, but it was when they were going to get her. I went out to the hall because maybe I needed space. I don't know. Like I said, that day I went blank. Um, um, I'm reading all your chat messages. I love you all. It's just I'm trying not to get sidetracked. So if I'm not replying to them, that's why, because I'm trying to keep myself together and tell my story, and it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And so, anyway, I went out to the hall. Like I said, I don't remember why I went there. I don't remember at all. Um, and I was crying a little bit the when the person from the Red Project was talking to me. I cried a little bit, but I didn't like let it all out. I was more just kind of numb. Um, and then my friend Stephanie shows up in the hall because they went and got her. Um, 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 my friend Stephanie showed up in the hall, and I started crying a little harder. I still didn't let it all out, but I had her come into this meeting with me, and one of my first thoughts while they were talking to me about all of this, because even though I've done my research, um, I was still semi ignorant about HIV. Like, and even if you've done your research, it's hard not to feel like it's a death sentence. Like, it's hard not to feel that way when you get it. Um, so me and my friend Stephanie go back into the meeting. Like, I told her what happened, and you can tell she's fighting back tears. And I tell her straight up, I was like, I need you to listen to them because I can't. I was like, I can't do it. Like, I can't. It's too much. I can't. Like, that's it. So we go back into this meeting, and they're explaining all this stuff to me, and Stephanie's asking them questions. I don't remember what all we went over, um, other than they set up a doctor's appointment for me, and everything like that. Like, they set up a doctor's appointment. They gave me their business card. They talked about it. They were like, "You're gonna be fine." Um, but Stephanie asked most of the questions, and Stephanie got most of the info because I couldn't take anything into me at that point. From the moment they told me I was positive, like, nothing stuck after that. Everything that went through my mind was, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna die. What is my family gonna say? How did I become a statistic? Um, just a bunch of not good thoughts. Just a bunch of not good thoughts. And I didn't know where to go from there. So after the meeting, um, we get back into the we I get outside, and the first thing I do is call my mom because me and my mom are really close, and I'll straight up admit it. I needed my mommy. Like, after that, I needed my mom. Um, Hold on. So I called my mom, and the minute she said hello, I started bawling. Did my headset really just die on me? I guess I don't need it right now. That's fine. I'll plug it in. Bear with me, guys. So the minute the minute she said hello, I started bawling. Like, that's when it all came out. And she was like, "Oh my God, Corey! Oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And I somehow managed to squeak out, "Mom, I have HIV." And she she was kind of like, she didn't say anything, and all I said was, "Mom, I need you." Like, so this story is real spotty. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't remember everything because I, for lack of a better term, I blacked out. Like, it was so much mental stress that I lost it. Um, I went blank. So my friend Stephanie drove me back to my car, and I cried the whole way. Um, and then finally, I pulled myself together long enough to drive up to my mom's house. And when I got there, I found out that my mom has been crying, and the worst the worst feeling in the world is making the person you love the most cry over you. Making the person you love the most so scared. Um, my older sister called right after I got off the phone with her, and my mom started crying, and um, so my mom told my older sister, and that's the only person she's ever told, and I respect her so much for that because that's the only person she ever told, and the only reason she told her is because my mom was bawling, and she was so afraid that her son was going to die, and her I was so afraid that I was gonna die. Like, like I was I was more scared than I've ever been in my life. Of just three little letters. Just three little letters. And it was the scariest thing. Ooh, Lord Almighty. She gonna get drunk by the end of this. Tell you one thing, by the end of this stream, by the end of this conversation, which there will be a full-fledged conversation after I am done with my story, um, And from there, we will actually have a conversation about it if you all want to. Um, but anyway, to continue, um, I'm trying to hold myself together. So I feel like I'm doing okay so far. I had that one little moment. I'm doing okay so far. Um, I think I got past really the hardest part. So, um, but I got to my mom's house and um, to find out that I made my mom cry and I made my older sister cry because they were all so scared of the fact that I had that I have HIV, and I spent um I spent 2 nights at my mom's house. I called into work for about 4 days in a row, um, which back then was real shocking for me. Lately, it doesn't seem so shocking, but back then, I didn't do that. Um, my boss was really understanding, though. I told my boss when I got back to work because I felt like even though he didn't need to know, I wanted to let him know that I was going through this and that there were probably going to be some hiccups, but we'll get to that part later. Um, so I got to my mom's house and I just kind of cuddled up to her the whole day, and I didn't I didn't really say a word other than like I love you and I'm scared and things like that. But otherwise, I didn't talk. I just cuddled with my mom and I was numb. I was numb. And I was scared. She was scared. Like, I was numb. And she was like, "You don't have to say anything. Just come here. Like, we'll figure it out." Um, and then I called one of my best friends at the time. After my mom went to bed, I called one of my best friends at the time, my friend Beth, and I told her, and she's like, and she was we were talking about it, and one of the only things I remember, like truly remember, was I made the worst joke on the planet. Um, I got I got bit by a mosquito. Um, I got bit by a mosquito while I was on the phone with her. And I literally, without even thinking about it, I that like the mosquito flew off because I didn't notice it bit me until like right after, like not right after, but I saw it and then it flew off. I literally looked at this mosquito that was flying away and told it I hope it died of AIDS. And then I started laughing because what else could I do at that point? I was so lost in my own misery that I made this horrible joke and started laughing. But it was to a fucking mosquito, so I don't feel too bad about it. Um, and also, well, I was I was going through it. I don't condone AIDS jokes. That's what this is all about. But um, I laughed so hard, and then I started crying more because what else was there to do? and I hung up the phone with my friend Beth. I went to bed. Like, I stayed at my mom's for 2 days. So now we're gonna skip ahead because nothing too exciting happened in those 2 days. And then my dad called. He's like, "Where are you?" Because I lived with my dad at the time. He's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm at mom's." He's like, "Don't you have to work?" I was like, "I called in the last 2 days. I've got something important I've got to talk to you about." For those of you who don't know, um, my dad is gay, and he has been with his partner slash husband now for since I was probably about 5. So, how old am I? 32? So, a long time. I'm not doing math right now. Um, anyway, his husband's, um, the guy his husband was with before before he got with my dad died of AIDS. So I was going home to tell my dad and his husband, partner at the time, but my dad and his partner, who helped raise me and whose partner died of AIDS, that I had HIV. Um, that was part of the reason I stayed at my mom's so long. Because how do you tell someone who's had someone died of AIDS, die of AIDS, that you have HIV, and that could be you next? Because in your head you're still like, okay, well, maybe I can maybe I can live a long life from this now. Maybe modern medicine has found a way to prolong it, but in your head you still feel like, well, I'm it's going to kill me eventually. Um it's going to kill me eventually. I'm going to die from HIV. I'm going to die of AIDS. It was the only thing going on in my head. I've done a lot more research since then, and I know that's not true. And my doctor has told me multiple times that's not true. But at this moment in my life, that was all I could think of was, this is going to kill me. This is going to be what does it. I might be able to extend it with medicine, but this is going to be what takes me out in the end. And how do you tell someone who's been through that before that they might have to go through it again? Um God, this is hard. So, do you guys mind if I take like a minute break and go to the bathroom real quick? Okay, I promise I'll be right back. It won't be very long. So, just hold tight. All right. Thank you all for waiting for me. Um, this is not an easy conversation for me, and I'm doing my best. So bear with me. Thank you for all the Spidey love. I appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot to me. So anyway, I talked to my dad, and I was like, I have something important to tell you. And he was like, what? We were on the phone. I was still at my mom's house. We were on the phone. I was like, what? He was like, what? What do you have to tell me? What do you have to tell me? I was like, I'll tell you when I get home. He was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he kept, like, I was like, Dad, I'll tell you when I get home. I don't want to talk about it over the phone. And he was just like, Corey, what is wrong? And so I told my dad over the phone, which is not what I wanted to do at all, but you know how parents get sometimes? They kind of badger you, especially when they know something's wrong. And I was like, I'm driving home now. I was actually in my car on the phone with him, and I was like, I'm driving home now. I'll be there in an hour and a half, because my mom lived about an hour and a half away. So I was like, I'll be there in an hour and a half, and we will talk. I was like, I have HIV. That's what it is. We will talk about it. So my dad obviously told his partner, which, you know, I expected. And my dad told his partner. And so when I show up, my dad gave me a giant hug, and his partner avoided me. I don't blame him for it, but his partner is like a dad to me. And it hurt. Like, I needed him, and he avoided me because he was hurt. He was scared. And I get it. I don't blame him for it. But to have someone, like, every time I was in the room, he'd leave the room. Just different things, and I couldn't be mad at him, but at the same time I was like, I'm the one living through this right now, and you're gonna ignore me because you're scared, like I'm not. It hurt a lot. We've gone past that now. Me and him are close. Everything is okay. I love him to pieces. But at that moment, I was hurt. And about a week later, he finally talked to me, and we had a conversation about everything, like about how him avoiding me has hurt me, and about how me having it, like, has hurt him, and different things like that. And we both cried together. We cried multiple times after that together. I don't think I'm gonna cry too much more this stream, which is good. You guys got it for a moment there. Until later, when the actual conversation starts, I might cry again, but we'll see. but I totally forgot something. And that's how my family all found out, because I was very open and honest about it, like what I am with you guys right now. Um, I was very open and honest about it. But back when I got diagnosed, um, there's a lot more to my story, and we will be getting to that shortly. Back when I got diagnosed, um, they asked me, they were like, well, who did you sleep with? Because they told me that I caught it really early. That I was lucky because I caught it really early. That there is no way that I've had HIV for longer than like 2 weeks. They were like, you caught it real early. At the most, you've had it for 2 weeks. And so, in that sense, I got lucky because it made it really easy to deal with. It made it not deal with, but it made it really easy to handle. Um, so I had slept with two different people those 2 weeks, and called both of them because, well, obviously it's the right thing to do, and told them both to go get tested. One told me to never talk to them again. One told me they went and got tested. They got back a hold of me and they were like, thank you for telling me. I tested negative. And the other one supposedly tested negative, but I'm like, well, one of you have it. So um, I never really pressed the issue because everybody looked at me and was like, well, why didn't you find out who had it and press charges, or, because back then, back back then it's even now, but in a separate sense, it's a felony to not disclose your status if you have HIV. It is attempt attempted murder, I believe. I used to know. Um, it's just a criminal transmission. Um, it's a felony in many states in the United States to not share your status. And they were like, well, why didn't you find out who did it and press charges? I was like, well, first of all, what's the point of that? Like, my first thought was, what was the point of trying to figure out who gave it to me and then pressing charges? Because first of all, maybe they didn't know they had it. Second of all, I already have it, so what's the point? It's not gonna bring closure. It's not gonna get rid of it. It's just gonna make mine and his life more difficult. Like, what's the point? All of a sudden, there's court cases and everything. That doesn't change the fact that I have HIV. It doesn't get rid of my HIV. It doesn't make me feel better about having HIV. So why would I? Why would, in all honesty, why would anyone? Um, I would understand if it was someone who was maliciously going out and transmitting it, but I doubted that. I doubted that so much. And I felt like, why ruin both of our lives for a court case that in the end isn't going to get rid of it? It's just not. I'm still going to have it afterwards. I'm still going to have to live with it. it's not. Um, so I go to my first doctor's appointment. We're cutting back into the future now, guys. Um, so I go to my first doctor's appointment, and I meet my doctor. I meet my caseworker who was there to help me navigate it all. My dad and his husband went with me for my first doctor's appointment because I was too scared to do it alone. So I'm super thankful for that. Um, and they take all these tests. Like, I've never had so much blood drawn in my life. Now I'm pretty used to it. Like, I'm used to having my blood drawn. I go in every 3 to 6 months to get my blood drawn and make sure that I am undetectable, which I am undetectable, guys. And I'll explain what that means later. But they take so much blood, so much blood. That was a horrible day. I was lightheaded all day. Like, they take so much blood. Anyway, so then they're like, okay, well, come back in a month. And I'm like, a month? Like, what's going to happen between then and now? Because, yet again, while I was educated, I knew what undetectable meant and different things like that. Like, I knew undetectable means basically the way my doctor worded it was undetectable means basically that the virus is sleeping. It's not dead. It's sleeping. It won't affect you. You can't pass it. And, like, basically, if you're undetectable, from what I understand and from what my doctor said, is basically I could probably take an HIV test today and it would come back negative because the virus is not active in any way in my body. So he was explaining that to me, and my first thought was, God, modern medicine is fucking amazing. Like, the fact that it they don't have a cure for it, but they have something that makes it so that you can live a normal life. But anyway, since they were like, you caught it early, we're gonna get you on meds. But my first thought was, my next appointment. Sorry, I'm scatterbrained. My next appointment is a month from now. Like, what's gonna happen till then? Because I didn't know any better. I knew what undetectable meant. I knew all of that. But, like, as far as how fast the virus worked and different things like that, I didn't know any better. I've done enough research to know that the undetectable people I've slept with in my life, because I've slept with 2 or 3, were not the ones that gave it to me. And different things like that. But I didn't know how fast the virus worked. I didn't know anything like that. Obviously, I went home after my doctor's appointment. I got online and I did a shit ton of research. And and realized that, you know, HIV is a virus that, if you don't take care of it, still takes a long time to mature. Might not be the right word, but it's the best word I got right now. It takes a long time for it to take over. So I stopped worrying so much about what a month would do. So I went in and they put me on this medication called Triamet. It's 1 pill a day, and it's basically like if you've ever watched anything or seen anything to do with HIV as far as like in the movies or on TV. It's the cocktail they talk about, but it's all in 1 pill, and it's got the least amount of side effects out of all the HIV meds out there. So, my ass starts taking this pill once a day at the same time, every day. And I took it my first day, I puked every hour on the hour. I had to leave work that day. I told my boss, I was like, I just started my meds. And there are some serious side effects, like I'm doing my best here, I'm here. And then I puked every hour on the hour. And I was like, and I almost made it the whole day through work. But about 3 hours before my shift ended, I left because I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And now I take my pill every day. It's the same pill. They gave me nausea meds for that first week to let my body adjust. And now it's been 6 years. Those first 2 months, I stayed a little on the catatonic side. Like, I was numb to a lot of things. And I was scared. And now I'm on the happier side. I'm healthy. I take my pill every day. I'm undetectable. I'm alive. And basically, fuck AIDS jokes. The moral of the story here is fuck AIDS jokes. That's basically my story. I didn't leave too much out. There's some I probably forgot over the years, and a lot of piecing together because, like I said, it all kind of became a blur those 2 months. But that's basically my story. I'm actually, hold on one second. Will, are you ready? And now I'm gonna have a discussion about it with Will, and we're gonna have a full-blown discussion about it. Let me get my headphones so that if I missed anything, and if any of you have questions or anything at all, let me know. I'll do my best to answer. So we're going to welcome to my stream the wonderful, you only hear his voice, but the wonderful Will Fletch UK.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Thank
I
you,
need to-
everyone.
whoa,
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna mute your
everyone.
stream because now I can hear you twice over. That's very confusing.
That was not as easy. That wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. That wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I speak for absolutely everyone in the chat when I say that we are amazingly proud of you. Thank you for sharing. And I could hear how much it means to you. So, it was an honor to get to listen to it.
It was not the easiest conversation I've ever had, or not the easiest story I've ever told.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how I'm feeling right now. Okay. Now that I've let it all out to all of you. Thank you, Geeky Penguin. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Zetaby. It means a lot that you all were here. What did do you think that I don't know what I wanna ask or say. I had someone, I'm not gonna mention names, message me on Twitter when I was in the bathroom. I had someone DM me telling me their story, so I'm happy it helped someone.
That sounds really, yeah. That's just, yeah, I know that feeling of people, when we share, people share with us, and it's wonderful, and it's amazing. Would you like me to just start asking some questions? Would that be helpful?
Sure.
Okay.
Bring it on.
So I guess you've talked about amusingly and flippantly and very to the point. You talked about the moral of the story being fuck AIDS jokes. But I guess I would like to know, what else would you like people to take from your story? If there's a fact, a nugget, something you want people to take away from what you shared tonight, beyond the fact that we're in a situation where you've shared it somewhat impromptu because you felt moved to, because you've been so incensed by this joke. And I use the word joke. There are very big inverted commas around the word joke there.
Joe.
Just for clarity for everyone. Yeah. Like you've just done the stream. I've just seen them pop up now.
What I want people to take away from this is that if, God forbid, if any of you catch it, if you, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. It's scary, but you will survive it. You will make it through it. You will be, in my opinion, you might come out stronger because of it. Because of what it puts you through. For those of you who might end up liking someone and finding out that they have HIV, don't be afraid of that. If they take care of it, you're not at risk. And they deserve the love that you were going to give them if they didn't have HIV.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of talk, especially you talked a lot about towards the end about the U equals U message,
undetectable equals untransmittable.
I hope if I can say it correctly. I'm blaming Monday. You talked a lot about that at the end, and actually there's a lot of studies about it. It's the first thing to say about U equals U is, occasionally you come across people who are skeptical about it, but the thing is, scientists are saying this, and scientists don't just say any old shit without a hell of a lot of evidence. There's been a lot of work done to understand that undetectable equals untransmittable.
Unless you ask Donald Trump.
Well, yeah. Putting him to one side, which is what we're doing. I don't know if you saw, this is a total aside that might amuse you, but Madame Tussauds in London have already redressed Donald Trump in a golfing outfit because they thought that was the most appropriate way to dress him now.
It's fitting.
It is fitting. And actually, there's a lot of studies as well that show that there are a lot of people, there's still so much ignorance and there's still so much stigma, and there are people who say that they absolutely wouldn't sleep with someone who was HIV positive. But
I've gotten that a lot.
You're actually far less likely to contract HIV sleeping with someone who knows their status and is, on their medication and is undetectable, than sleeping with the person who is telling you that they were tested but actually hasn't been tested in God only knows how long, and is just being reckless with their sexual health. I think that's a really important message for everyone to understand.
Yes. It is a proven fact that if someone knows they have HIV and they take care of it, you are less likely to get it from them than the random person you slept with last night because you were horny.
Who told you that? Who told you that they were negative, but
Yes.
truthfully had no idea because it's however long since their last test, and they've slept
Yes.
with however many people they've randomly slept with since their last test, which fine. Sleeping with people, fine, but if you're going to do it, it's about taking care of your health, and getting tested regularly and knowing your status, and all of those kind of things.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Go get tested, people. It's super important to know. It's super important to know your status, whether you have it or not. Knowing is better than not knowing. It's safer than not knowing. Go get tested.
And certainly, I'm sure many gay men have been there and have had that moment, and I've had that moment of being in the clinic and being so scared and being convinced that someone's going to come in and tell me that I'm positive, and therefore not wanting to be in that clinic and not wanting to do the test. But thankfully, listening to that logical voice in the back of my head that says, "Well, what do you gain by not knowing that you're positive? If you're positive, you gain nothing. You gain more health problems because it's tested later and picked up later. So it was always better to know. I don't know, because there are these I can't remember what the targets are called. Are they the 90-90-90 targets? There are targets for the percentage of people who are diagnosed in a country or a region or an area or whatever, the percentage of people who are on treatment and the percentage of people who are undetectable of those who are on treatment. So it's about aiming for 90% of people to be diagnosed, 90% of those diagnosed people to be on treatment already, and 90% of those people on treatment to be undetectable already.
Yes, in the United States,
they're making massive progress on that.
In the United States, they estimate that 1 in 7 people with HIV don't know they have it.
Okay.
Which
so that's still quite high.
is quite a high number.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas, and it's interesting. It was really interesting hearing you talk about insurance. Something that categorically those of us in the UK don't have to think about. And seeing the difference that makes to tackling a disease like HIV. Because people don't want the money of knowing that they have HIV, the expense, presumably, to some extent, of knowing they have HIV. Whereas here in the UK, with universal healthcare, in London, we're heading towards meeting the targets that we're not meant to be needing to meet until something like 2040 in our roadmap of getting transmission down.
So I did the research a while back, and I don't know if it's changed now, because like I said, I've had it for 6 years, and I did all my research in the first year.
Mm-hmm. And HIV treatment has changed a lot in recent years. Things have been changing quite quickly.
Back then I did the math and everything, and I believe it was about 150 without insurance. Luckily, I have a full-time job that offers insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That offers decent insurance. It's not the best, but it's decent. HIV in the United States costs $250,000 a year.
Wow.
So imagine not having insurance and trying to take care of that.
That's astonishing. Yeah.
There is government programs that will help you, but overall, it's just insane how expensive having HIV is.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And imagine that. Let me see if I can get updated numbers.
So I can also tell you, I've looked up the figures that I was thinking of, which were tweeted by Matthew Hodgson, who I know you've come across on Twitter at least today, less than a week ago. So apparently in the UK at the moment, we believe that 94% of people living with HIV have been diagnosed. 98% of those are on treatment, and 97% of those are undetectable. Which means that 89% of all people living with HIV in the UK can't pass it on because they're undetectable.
So the pills alone, like my pills alone, if I didn't have insurance, I know this for a fact because I've gone a month without insurance and had to pay for it out of pocket. My pills alone every month are $80 a month.
Wow.
And that's not including like the lab work and stuff like that. And that was still, actually no, hold on. The $80 a month was with my insurance, just without I have a supplemental insurance that pays for whatever my main insurance does not pay for.
Yeah.
So without my supplemental insurance, it was $70. So that was with insurance.
Wowzers.
Um,
I am just honestly, endlessly.
So I can't imagine how much it costs without insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw the same thing with, obviously, different area of healthcare. But recently I can't even remember why I Googled the price of it. I was interested to know how much my antidepressants cost. And how much that costing the NHS, because we get free prescriptions here in the UK. So I pay, for every prescription that I have filled, I pay £9.15. It doesn't matter what the pills are. It doesn't matter how many of the pills I'm being given. That's how much I pay. So at the moment, I pay £9.15 for 60 days worth of antidepressants. And I looked up, I Googled, and I saw how much my antidepressants cost in the United States, and I was just like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe that someone would have to pay that much. So I can only imagine with drugs as expensive as I know that HIV drugs are, at the price they're sold. Yes. But anyway, I will stop making you feel inadequate about your healthcare system, because that's probably not going to help anyone in any way.
It's inadequate. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's a whole other ballpark. So I guess I'm interested. You've talked a lot about your journey in terms of your journey of diagnosis and telling people and starting to come to terms with it, and understanding it medically. It's obviously a disease that still carries with it a hell of a lot of stigma.
Yes.
And a lot of stigma from people in our own community who should know better.
Yes.
So I'm wondering how you've seen that stigma in the 6 years since you were diagnosed. Obviously, only sharing what you want. I'm not pushing you to share horrendous traumatic stories, but anything that you want to share about that.
So my biggest pet
what your
peeve.
Experience has been like.
My biggest pet peeve ever is, obviously, I'm a single gay man. Mm-hmm. I had Grindr for a very long time. My biggest pet peeve ever is people using the term clean.
Yep.
I hate it. I hate it so much. It adds to the stigma, because like every time I see it, when people ask, "Are you clean?" I either block them or I'm like, "Well, I showered yesterday or today," or
Yeah.
Like,
a different response.
I showered. And they're like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of a response if you use the word clean because I'm not dirty.
Yeah.
Um, People with HIV are not dirty. And when you use the words clean as meaning negative, you add to that stigma so much more because you're making it sound like the people with HIV are dirty. Mm-hmm. And they're not. I've also had people I've been talking to stop talking to me because of it. Like, even though, say, we've gone on, like, because sometimes I'll go on a date, I'll get to know someone before I tell them because I'm like, well, if this is going to be serious, I want to know before I, like, not even serious, but if it has a chance of becoming something, then I want to know. And everybody's like, well, you should tell them beforehand. I'm like, why? If it's not going to become anything, then it's not their business. Yeah. So why would I tell them? Thank you for the follow, Catherine. Why would I tell them? Because if it's not going to become anything, if I'm not going to sleep with them, it's not their business. Absolutely. So I'll give it a date or two sometimes, because I'm like, okay, just to make sure, just to be safe. And then when I tell them, even though they message before that, they messaged me every day, they talked to me every day, blah 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 blah. All of a sudden they disappear the minute I tell them, and it's like, come on, and it's like you can explain undetectable until you're fucking blue in the face. And people won't. They're like, well, I don't want the risk. I'm like, well, lucky for you, there is none. Yeah. But I can't tell you that, because if I tell you that, it makes it sound like it's an agenda. Yep. So I just get the, well, I can't take the risk. I'm like,
yep.
Okay.
Despite realizing there's no risk that they're taking.
I'm like, well, maybe do a quick Google search, because it's not that hard to find out.
Yep. And because also a lot of the studies that that confirmed for scientists and gave them the confidence to say that U equals U came from studying serodiscordant couples, from looking at couples where one member of the couple is HIV positive and one member of the couple is HIV negative, and looking at those couples and going, well, transmission isn't occurring. Why isn't it occurring? Let's be clear about that, and let's be emphatic about what we can say from what we've learned about that. Joey says, Joey's absolutely right. If they ghost for that, they don't deserve someone as utterly amazing and kind as you.
Joey, I love you. Another thing is, I've had this for 6 years, as I've said. It'll be July 24th will be 7 years. Mm-hmm. Yes, I have it down to the exact date. It's kind of a hard date to forget. I have dated people since then. Mm-hmm. I had one serious relationship of a year, and he was also HIV undetectable, so that wasn't too big. But then I've also had a guy that I was seeing for about 4 months. I had a guy I was seeing for almost a year. And then I had a guy I was seeing for like another 4 months. And you bet your ass I was sexually active for all of them. And you won't guess this, but those 3 other guys that were negative never caught it. So, at some point, because I have a high sex drive, we'll leave it at that. At some point, you realize that the risk isn't there, because if it was, there was not a chance in hell that they would not have caught it. Mm-hmm. And some people, it takes them time to Like, they do it maybe once. I mean, granted, there were a lot of condoms involved, but they do it maybe once or twice, and they'd be nervous about it, and then they realize, oh, he's the same as someone who doesn't have it. It's just he has to take a pill every day, which really sucks. Really sucks.
It does. It does. But then I also think it's nice to hear lightly about some of the relationships that you've had, because it's nice to hear the counterbalance to that discrimination and people ghosting and all of those kind of things. It's nice to hear that message that relationships can still happen.
Yes, I would say at least on Grindr, which isn't really saying much, the majority will look at you like you're a disgusting piece of shit. But there are the ones out there.
Given the risks that most of the people on Grindr are taking, is
like motherfucker, you're on Grindr. You want the lights off and you want to come in someone you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, sit your ass down. But there are quite a few good ones out there. They're just you might have to look a little harder.
Yeah. And Jamie hits the nail on the head as well. It says, and this is one of the things that I was trying to encapsulate. Jamie says, and the people who ghost may eventually obtain the virus themselves and be ghosted themselves. It's a toxic behavior to ghost. But yeah, that's also what I was saying, Jamie. Is it's like often those people who are behaving in that way, who, as Corey so delightfully and pointedly put it, want to come in a complete stranger that they've never met before. Those are the people who are acting in ways that are not considerate of their sexual health and of others' sexual health.
Thank you for the follow, Zombie.
And that comes down to, again.
Hold on. That's my love right there. I love you, Zombie.
And again, that comes down to, that's not about slut shaming. It's not about saying you can't have loads of sex. It's about saying there are lots of ways to look after your sexual health, and getting tested is absolutely one of them. In thinking about what precautions you could take, whatever those precautions may be, are also there as well.
Yes. Sorry, I kind of flipped out because
Zombie
kills is in my stream and I don't know how to handle it. Huge fan. She knows that.
Corey was talking to me about zombie kills earlier, so yes, he definitely is. He was fangirling on you, Zombie. It was awesome to hear.
But God, repeat your question, Will.
Was that a question or was that me?
I don't remember what you said. I was fangirling, okay? Where were we? Totally lost my train of thought.
Also, I mean, like, if anyone in the chat has questions as well, you can put questions in the chat. And I will filter them for Corey. So I'll pick some out if they are
so
appropriate and responsibly put.
For those of you who just showed up as well, a little quick rundown of everything we've talked about today is basically fuck AIDS jokes. We don't do that. That's not okay. That's not at all okay, especially in the year 2020. Especially coming from a black man whom, other than the homosexual community, the black community has been ravaged by HIV, like, disproportionately. So the fact that that was a thing that happened on SNL was just insane to me because, first of all, it affects your community so much, and it's homophobic completely, especially the way it was worded. Like, Freddie Mercury was an obvious gay man, and to go, that was like a Freddie Mercury catching AIDS. Who would have thought? That's not okay. We don't do that. We don't do that. Nope, nope, no. Second of all, I told my story for my HIV story. It was, I've been HIV positive for 6 years. I cried a little. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. It's kind of it's just a lot to talk about. So I've been HIV positive for 6 years. I am HIV undetectable now. I am happy. I am healthy. I am stronger, I think, than I was now. Or stronger than I was then. And I am more knowledgeable than I was then. Because God, have I done a lot of research since then. Because when something kind of takes over your life, thank you for the follow, Nintendo Nerds. I am also a Nintendo nerd. Hello, Miss Cheese. When something takes over your life like that, you have no choice but to research it. In some way, shape, or form, because all of a sudden it's a major part of who you are.
Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine, as someone who is not HIV positive, I can only imagine, Corey, you talked about it quite well. You talked about the way that you felt, the way that you were almost catatonic. You were struggling to take things in. I can imagine that sense of powerlessness, and that going and doing your research is a way of giving yourself power over something. I guess
as
it's
little,
what you can control.
As little power as you feel like you can get from the situation. Because when you find out you do 100% feel powerless, I went catatonic. I was numb for about 2 months. 2 months of not feeling much because I figured I was going to die. I felt like when I found out, I felt like I was going to die. I know better now. My doctor, the interview, not interview, but my doctor, the research, and all these other things led to me realizing that, you know what, this isn't the death sentence it was in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you watch so much television, you watch so many movies, and they all take place in that time when HIV was a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, other than How to Get Away with Murder, fantastic show, recommend it 100%. Other than How to Get Away with Murder, I've never seen a TV show tackle HIV in a way that actually showed what it's like living with HIV now.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah,
is
I can't
part of
think
the
of
reason I love that show so much, is because I'm like, hey, I've been there. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
It really is, Zombie. It really is. Representation is so important, and it's sad that there's no one out there showing that, you know what, HIV isn't the death sentence it used to be. HIV isn't as scary as it used to be. I don't wish, personally, I don't wish it on anyone. But it's not going to kill you. It's not going to end your life. It's not going to, you can live a full happy life. You can fall in love. You can have all the fucking sex you want. And as long as you are taking care of yourself, as long as you are listening to your doctor, as long as you are on your medication, you are going to be just fine. The person that you're with is going to be just fine. And it's so important to show that, and yet everybody is so afraid of that. Everybody is so afraid that they see those three little fucking letters, that might that run the risk of turning in those three other fucking letters, 4 other fucking letters. Sorry, AIDS is a 4-letter word. And they freak out, and it scares them away so fast that they refuse to do their own research. And if I like with what I am doing tonight on my stream, I'm trying to educate. I am trying to educate because a lot of people are not going to educate themselves. And a lot of people are going to look at it, see the letters HIV, and walk the other way, or run the other way. They're not going to educate themselves. And the problem is, if you are trying to go on a date with someone, if you are trying to sleep with someone, if you are trying to do anything with someone, the minute you tell them you have HIV, if they go blank, fuck, where was I going? You can try to convince them all you want, but at that point, it sounds self-serving, and they're not going to take it seriously. So this is me telling the world, basically, that I have HIV, and I'm trying to educate in a non-self-serving way to show that people with HIV deserve the love that maybe before you watched this stream you were afraid to give them.
And it's really powerful, and I love hearing you talk about this, Corey. And I also one thing I wanted to reflect on quickly is, I know Zombie mentioned the power of representation, and it's kind of like, it's that double-sided power of that representation. You know, if we could have proper, authentic representation of not just helping those people like yourself living with HIV to see.
We haven't even had the PrEP conversation yet.
But also, PrEP is an amazing invention.
We'll get to that.
But also to educate people about what living with HIV is actually like. And you said, I can't think of any television programs I've really seen it in a modern context. But so the other thing I wanted to ask you was, you're doing a brilliant job of educating people right now on the stream. I am a firm believer that it's not certainly it shouldn't be your job to need to educate people. So therefore, my question for you is, those of us who are watching this stream who are allies, what can we do to help better educate people so that you don't have to?
Advocate for PrEP. Definitely, because PrEP is honestly amazing. The fact that, yet again, I understand it sucks. You have to take a pill a day. It's not the easiest thing. But it's so important. Especially if you're sexually active. It's so very important. It will protect you. It will protect you. Granted, there are some serious side effects with PrEP, so definitely talk to your doctor first. I'm not gonna pretend I'm a medical scientist here, and I don't know how your body works, so definitely talk to a doctor first. But PrEP is so fucking important. And
I mentioned the
changer.
progress made in the UK and yeah, especially the progress we've made in London in recent years. A lot of that is down to PrEP. It's down to PrEP and it's down to testing, and those two things have gone hand in hand and are driving. It was the stats were out recently. It's something like the smallest number of HIV diagnoses in London for a decade or something.
For everyone who just joined, I'm just gonna admit I'm being real classy today. I'm taking shots right from the bottle. So, anyway, continue, Will.
No, that was it. That was the level. You know, PrEP makes such a difference. It really, really does.
Another thing you can do is listen to your friends that have HIV. Because not every day, even for someone like me who's had it for 6 years, not every day is going to be an easy day. Not every day, like a day like today, where all of a sudden you got this comedian making a fucking joke about the life that you have to live, like Zombie said. You have to live that, and it was broadcast on SNL. Out of all things, like a program. All right, thanks for joining, Drew. Thank you for watching. Have a good night or morning or whatever it is in Australia right now. To have a joke like that show up on a national television show that is watched by millions just furthers that stigma that, first of all, HIV is, that joke specifically furthers the stigma that, first of all, HIV is a gay disease, which it's not, as science and all of that has proven that it doesn't matter if you are gay or straight or anything in between, you can get HIV. By even the smallest thing, like maybe your coworker was bleeding and they didn't know they had it or something. They weren't taking care of themselves. They didn't know. There's so many things. Like your coworker was bleeding and you happened to just have like a cut on your finger and didn't realize there was blood. You run the risk of getting it. Like, it's not something. For me, it was one drunken night. And I didn't use the condom. And bam. All of a sudden, my whole life fucking changed. One drunken mistake. That's all it takes, is one mistake, one chance, basically anything, and you can end up with this disease. And to be a better ally, I would say talk to your friends with HIV, because not every day is easy. For me, today has been really hard for me. I try not to let things get to me, but I saw that joke and I knew I needed to have this conversation today. I try really hard not to let things get to me. As far as the homosexuality goes, I'm very upfront about it. If people make jokes about it, I basically tell them to fuck off and I go the other way. Like, I don't have time. Alright, thank you for joining, Mark.
Night, Mark.
I don't have time to put up with your ignorant bullshit. It's the same way, like, just anything. Like, I don't have time for that. I don't let a lot of things get to me. But the HIV thing is still so stigmatized, so frowned upon, that when you hear jokes about it, you have to, like, you have to confront it.
Yeah.
Like, I can hear a gay joke and I won't confront it because not only have I heard them all, but you grow kind of immune to that. And we've made more progress as LGBTQ plus have made more progress lately that's at least trending in the right direction. Granted, yes, there's a lot of work to go, but we're trending in the right direction there as to where HIV is swept under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, as much as I can handle a gay joke, because I know that at the end of the day, I can get married now whether you want me to or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can get married now. I have rights now. Whether you want me to or not, as a gay man, I have these things. So we're making progress there. As to where with HIV, I don't feel like we're making progress. We are medically, but as far as the stigma goes, we're not going anywhere. We've been in the same situation since I think modern medicine hit to where you could live with HIV in the early 2000s. We've been in this same spot. We haven't moved forward at all. Nobody talks about it.
And I almost wonder as well with our kind of generation and the younger generation, beneath us of gay and queer men, whether there are so many people who on the one hand still want to treat HIV like some kind of death sentence, but on the other hand will make jokes about it, will be flippant about it, in a way that I suspect our older members of the community wouldn't make jokes about it because they lived through everything that went on.
Right.
They understand that this is serious, this is not a joking matter.
Did you notice that joke was he caught AIDS, not that he died from AIDS?
No, I hadn't noticed that.
The joke said, and you wonder how he caught AIDS, or like, you know. Dave Chappelle didn't say he died from AIDS. He just left it at he caught AIDS.
Yeah.
Which, first of all, honey, he caught HIV.
Yep.
You do not catch AIDS. AIDS is what happens after HIV takes over your body, weakens your immune system so much that you get cancer. I can't remember the exact name of said cancer right now, but you get other diseases.
It's quite open.
I believe so. I don't remember off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
You get cancer. You get a bunch of other disease. AIDS is not a disease. It's a group of diseases that take over your body after you let HIV win. Like, I mean, granted, in Freddie Mercury's case, they didn't have anything to fight back then. But AIDS is something that AIDS is a group of disease that takes over your body because your immune system is weak. AIDS is not a disease itself. HIV is the virus. HIV is the disease.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling some type of way today. Hold on one second, guys. I need to get another bottle of water.
That's okay. We're all here waiting when you get back.
Alright, I'm back. Whew.
Oh, you're buffering as well on my picture. There we go.
Oh, don't start that bullshit stream. You've been doing real good all night. Let's keep it that way.
It's my internet. It's my. Yeah, it's my internet problem.
Pretty much several cancers.
I'm trying to work out where my brain's gonna go now. It's also now midnight.
It's
at the
been
end
a
of
night.
Monday, and my brain is having a Monday brain.
It's been a night. Like I said, I don't let a lot of things get to me, but I felt like today we needed to have this conversation because that joke is out there, and not enough people are talking about it.
I agree, and
if
as
you,
I say, I was surprised. I've seen 1 or 2 people post about it.
Yeah, not enough people are
I've
talking
had
about
a
it.
busy day, so there might be more, but I've not seen what one would expect to see.
If you follow me on Twitter, hello Irish Duke. If you follow me on Twitter right after my stream, I'm going to be posting a thread of basically what HIV looks like. I'm going to start it off with me, and I'm going to show my me basically living my best life, and I'm going to start have a hashtag of this is what HIV looks like. I have another friend with HIV that is going to add to it, and I plan on. Dave Chappelle doesn't have a Twitter. I looked. But I'm going to tag SNL on it. And I would like it if people could retweet it. Let it be seen, let it be heard, because HIV is not something to joke about. We live with it. We survive with it. We pay a lot of money because of it. But we can be happy and live full lives with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's for me. It's one of those things that I view. It's like it's part of your identity, but parts of our identity are important to us, but they don't define us. They're just a part of our identity, of a melting pot of all the things that make us us.
It's like being gay, other than I'm proud of being gay. I mean, I'm not exactly proud of having HIV, but I live with it, and being gay isn't who I am. Granted, I am wearing a rainbow shirt. But being gay is not who I am. I am myself. I am Corey. I am a gamer. I am a nerd. I am a nice person. I speak up for what I believe in. I lift up my friends. I lift up the people I like. I lift people. So for all of that, being gay is not who I am. Having HIV is not who I am. It's part of me. It's something I have to live with. Just like being gay is part of me. It's not something I have to live with because I'm real proud of my gayness. But it's part of me. It's not who I am. And to make jokes about it is absolutely disgusting. Irish Duke, you are 100% right. Some topics should be untouchable. Some topics should not be the butt of a joke. Joey White, what you said was you were surprised at how many people audibly laughed.
Yeah.
The same thing. I wish I could. I mean, I wish I could say the same. I'm not shocked at how many people audibly laughed.
I don't think I
I'm
was
disappointed,
Yeah,
but I'm not
disappointed.
shocked.
I wasn't necessarily surprised at how many audibly laughed. What I was surprised was that the laughter was the only noise. You know, you would have thought you would have heard some people in the audience gasping with shock or something that he'd said that. But no, it's just laughter. It's not a mixed reaction. It's just laughter.
All right.
That's what shocked and disappointed me. That audience missed its opportunity to express to him how inappropriate what he had said was.
All right. So I
And I
think
agree with Joey. Yeah, Joey said there was no part of what did you just say? There was no part of like people being whacked in the face with it and being like, this has really shocked me.
this is where I'm going to end the stream because I think we've gone over basically everything. I just so let me find someone to read real quick, and I have some final words. Hold on. I'd like to thank you, Will, for helping me facilitate this conversation.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you for asking me. And thank you for being you and for being wonderful. And we all love you to pieces.
Thank you for everyone who showed up. Thank you, Zombie, for talking to me earlier. You really helped me actually go forward with this, and helping me figure out how I wanted to do it, how I wanted to be loud. Thank you, everyone who showed up. It means very much to me. Thank you, 12th Gear. Thank you, everyone. I do want to leave this with a few final thoughts. People with HIV deserve the love that maybe you were afraid to give them. People with HIV aren't scary. You're not gonna get infected if they touch you. You're not. None of that. Like, we live normal lives. We fall in love. We get heartbroken. We live normal lives. So thank you for listening. I'd like to also leave with a like how I started my stream. I'm going to say fuck you 2020. And let's see. Just like how I started my stream, because we're going in reverse here. I'd like to say Black Lives Matter. Fuck anyone who disagrees. Don't be a racist. Don't be homophobic. And respect someone. Respect people. Like, respect people. Be a good person. Be better. Do better. And yeah, that's it. And thank you for coming as I shared my story and answered different questions from Will about having HIV. We are going to raid one of the sweetest streamers I know. Her name is Slugs. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone. It's meant a lot to see you all here. Oop, I just fucked up my keyboard. That's fine. It's fine. Um, thank you, everyone. You all are awesome. Thank you so much for joining.
Maybe you
Love
could strip
you.
the curse of its power
I
by
love you
forgiving it.
too.